Constructing arguments is the foundation of all critical thinking skills, and you can learn how to do it in 5 minutes. This video is going to teach you a universal structure for constructing logical arguments, one which is widely used in debating competitions and which doesn't require any formal logic and other complicated stuff like that. So whether you're wanting to get better at debating or whether you're negotiating a raise with your boss, this universal structure can be adapted to pretty much any situation, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So this argument structure is made up of 3 things: a central claim, some evidence behind it, and then also a claim for how relevant it is to the issue being discussed. With central claims, there's a few basic types. You might be claiming that something is true. You might be claiming 2 things are related in some way, either one causes another or one is a consequence of another. Or you might also be evaluating something, so you might be comparing it to a standard or saying whether it's better or worse than something else. The easiest way to come up with claims is to just think, why do I think this is true? And if your claim is particularly complicated, it might be good to break it up into a claim and different subclaims to illustrate that logical progression of ideas. The second part of the argument is evidence. You need to give some sort of reason why you think the claim is true. Now, your evidence needn't be some sort of scientific study, although if you have one, then that's definitely useful to mention. You might also want to use examples. You might want to use quotes from people who are particularly authoritative on that issue. But you can also use things like analogies as your evidence. So you can just say, we know this is true in this other context, so that's a good reason for believing it might be true in this context too. Whatever evidence you're using, as long as it gives a reason for believing the claim is true, it works in this structure. Finally, you have to demonstrate what the impact is of your claim and the evidence behind it. How important should this be in how we think about the issue that you're talking about? You might make a statement to show that it's particularly important or that your argument is particularly urgent. You might also want to contrast it with some of the arguments that are present in the discussion that you're having to say that they're more ethical or logical. Without adding a statement of impact to your argument, it's not clear what benefits your argument brings to the overall discussion. So, here's an example of what I'm talking about. Here's an argument about euthanasia, which I bashed out in about 5 minutes. Euthanasia should be allowed because people have a right to use their autonomy to not suffer. The terminally ill may have grounds to end their life if they feel the benefits of living are outweighed by the harms. In principle, it's not accepted for medical professionals or family to overrule somebody's medical decisions. Even if we disagree with their decision, not allowing euthanasia means ignoring this important principle of autonomy in specific circumstances at the end of life, which should not be taken lightly. Just to illustrate, here's the main claim. Here are 2 different evidences which have been used. And then here is the claim about the impact. A nice snappy little paragraph, but one that makes a powerful argument. Now, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes telling you why I like this as a structure and what I think the advantages are. The first advantage is that I think it's versatile. No matter what overall issue you're trying to engage with, there's no requirement to have one piece of evidence per claim. So if something that you said was particularly controversial, you can put multiple evidences behind that sort of claim. You can have a mixture of subclaims and multiple evidences behind different claims that you're making. If one claim or piece of evidence that you're making becomes particularly controversial, you can treat that as another claim and try to put more reasons and impact behind why you think that's true and why it's important. The second reason I like this is that it's fast. You can learn this structure extremely quickly, but it's also really easy when you're listening to someone else's speech to fit what they're saying into this basic structure so you can follow the argument and know what the weak points are. More on that in a later video. Thirdly, this structure is flexible. Although I've given an order of talking about the claim, then the evidence and the impact, you don't necessarily need to do that. You could put the impact first and say that there's a really particularly important issue that we need to make a decision on. You can put the evidence last. You can put the claim last and let it follow on from everything that you've said and say, here, this is the answer. Basically, it gives you a way of varying what you're saying for maximum rhetorical effect. The last thing that I really like about this structure is that it's universal. No matter what the issue is, whether you're listening, reading, writing, or speaking, this structure should help you get your thoughts in order and articulate them for maximum impact. Whether it's a decision that you have to make at work or listening to something on the news, you can very quickly put what somebody is saying into this basic structure and sort their argument into its different subcomponents. So that's argument construction. I hope this video was useful to you. In future videos, I'm going to go deeper into how to make arguments more persuasive and effective. If you want to see that, then subscribe and hit the bell, and you'll be the first to know when I upload a video.